open to the evolution of my soul. My mind is alert. My heart is receptive. My next step is here and now, and so it is. All right, as promised, no video, joke. Ready? A pastor, as he's about to begin his message for the day, is handed a note to read. And so he goes, okay, the note says there will be no BS for tomorrow. And so as he starts to put it in his pocket, he says, I hope that means Bible study. My talk for today is called Courageous Self-Awareness. And I came up with this title as I looked at myself in terms of my own personal path on how I've looked at myself. And so there are things that I've noticed about the layers in which we look at ourselves, and the deeper we go, the more courageous we need to be. And the more honest, because it's easy to be in denial about ourselves in many, many different ways, and I'm going to point out some of those as I take you through my own personal journey with looking at myself and in the areas in which I have wanted to heal and grow. And so on a general level, one of the first things I've noticed about is what is really an easy categorization, which is my wife is an optimist and I'm a pessimist. Now, you may say to yourself, well, that makes that better. Being an optimist is definitely better. Well, we follow here a book in terms of our leadership called Good to Great. And one of the things it talks about in that book is something called the Stockdale paradox. General Stockdale was imprisoned at the Hanoi Hotel for 8 years during the Vietnam War. He and a few others survived. And when he was asked, what was the difference between all those soldiers who died and the ones who made it? He said, the optimists never made it, they all died. And that was a striking comment at the time. The optimists? He said, yeah, they all died of a broken heart. Because optimists tend to say, I'll be out by Christmas. I'll be out by Thanksgiving. I'll be out by Memorial Day. And then when they're not, they get depressed and die. And so being an optimist isn't so great. Now, I'm sure that if he was asked about pessimists, he would have said, oh, they died even quicker. So the thing about it is when we're looking at ourselves, when we want to see, one of the things he said about that is part of the Stockdale paradox is that you want to hold your ground in terms of the goal, which is, for him, it was to survive and live and get beyond the Hanoi Hotel, but face the brutal facts that you don't know when that's going to come about, and you don't know how it's going to come about. You just have to know that it will, which is in perfect line with our teaching, which says forget the how, but hold on to what it is your dream is, and don't get stuck when it doesn't happen at the pace you expect it to happen. Don't get stuck in the idea that it should happen by this time. Don't get stuck in the obstacles that come up. Certainly the obstacles that he faced in prison was being tortured a lot, not being fed, being left in his own excrement, and things that were horrendous, right? Yet he knew that he was going to survive it, but that was the only thing he knew, and he looked at the brutal facts every day of, this is what's going on today, how do I get through today? Now, one of the greatest things about that sort of stuff is that it's very similar to AA, right? One day at a time. The goal is to be sober in AA, but the way you walk that walk is one day at a time, staying as present in the moment as you can. And in doing so for myself and looking at myself as a pessimist, I have noticed that by looking on that side of the coin or in looking at the optimist side of the coin, it's still leaving out the other side. Now, I know you guys have heard me lots of times laugh when somebody says to me, let's be realistic, right? The idea of what is realistic? What is real? Well, what is real is whatever we perceive it to be, and what is real doesn't always match the facts, and because facts are only what we can perceive. So when we get stuck in the facts, we are not being courageous enough to look beyond them, to see a larger picture. Am I saying make up some rosy picture of what's going on? Absolutely not. I am not a rosy picture guy. I am in many ways a realist. And one of the ways in which I'm a realist is knowing that whatever I think is real isn't. Whatever I think is going on, there's something larger going on. And in my process, it has made me question constantly what I am perceiving at any given moment, especially if it's something that's upsetting to me. In fact, I have gotten myself to the point now where I default to, if I'm upset, the odds are what I'm looking at isn't really what's going on. The odds are that what I'm seeing and what I think isn't. And by defaulting there, I get to go to a deeper place. I get to look at myself in a deeper way and go, okay, since this isn't going on, since this is just what I'm perceiving at the moment, then what else is? Since I'm pretty upset about what it is I'm seeing right now. Have any of you ever felt that way? Like you're really upset about what's going on and you're so sure that's what's going on. Anybody here have that kind of certainty? Don Juan, who was a shaman in books, in 10 different books that I read, out of all those 10 books, he had one quote that always stuck with me, which is that crystal clarity means you've frozen a moment and now you're in the past. And so every time I feel crystal clear, I remind myself that that's not actually what's going on because that moment that I just froze into crystal clarity is already past. And so I'm not being present in what's happening now. It takes a lot of courage to be willing to let go of whatever you're so sure happened, whatever you're so sure is going on. Because I promise you, if you're willing to move beyond that, what is there is something deeper, something richer, something more magnificent. Because that's life. Life is so rich. I don't know about you, but I get overwhelmed. I start looking at all the layers of any moment, and I can easily overwhelm myself by the amount of information I can see, still knowing that there's more. Because I'm human. I may be an infinite being. I may be divine. But as long as I'm looking out of human eyes, what I'm seeing is going to have some limitation to it. And what I've defaulted to knowing is that there's more. And when you can do that, when you can sit in a place of knowing no matter how upset you are, no matter how great the situation is, no matter how bad the situation looks, whatever it is, there's more. The richness of every single moment is extraordinary when we are willing to sit with it, be with it, and allow it to just flow through us. And then we can open. I know that I have. I can get so upset about something. I mentioned last week, I am not a guy who's ever been have developed the skill to live by the 4 agreements. I have not developed the skill of not taking something personal. I take everything personal. Absolutely everything. And so my initial reaction to a lot of life is pain and suffering. Right? Because life can hurt. It can feel that way anyway. But since I seem to not have that skill developed, there is this other skill that I have developed, which is simply knowing that it's not real, that there's more going on, that whatever I have solidified here in thinking what's going on isn't. And so I question myself. I still feel the feelings and I'm upset. I work my way through that because I'm constantly looking, what else is here? What else is here? If you can cultivate that question alone, it will lead you to places you never imagined. What else is going on here? What is it that I cannot see at this moment that must exist? Because one of the things that I know to be an absolute truth is that we are all being led through whatever is going on in our lives to be a greater self, to be a bigger self, to be more than who we are now. Now, notice I didn't say that we're being led to some great success where we all become billionaires, or we're great to success into what it is we think we're going after in life. I don't know anything about that. What I know a ton about is how, when we dig into ourselves and use our circumstances in a way to allow ourselves to open and grow, to have an open heart in the moments at which we are having the hardest time having an open heart, that in those moments we grow into something we had not yet experienced about ourselves. And in that, life changes. The more we can keep an open heart when it looks like it's impossible because we're so darn hurt. We feel beaten down. We feel like life's so darn hard. Those are the moments. Those are the real moments where we get to stretch our spiritual muscles, pump them and make them stronger by challenging what it is we think we see. And this is hard stuff. And it takes a lot of courage, especially in the face of being so darn certain. So darn certain of what we think is going on. And I've seen people go, no, this is bad, this is wrong, this needs to be taken on. And I'm like, and it's okay. People can stand wherever it is they are, but I am saying that there is something more going on here. That takes a different kind of courage to be willing to look at when others are around you, particularly going, this is bad, this is wrong, this shouldn't be going on. When you have peers and family and friends who are around you, who want that agreement around whatever it is, to stand in a place of, well, maybe this isn't the way I'm seeing it right now or the way anybody's seeing it. Because it's easy to buy in, right? Agreement, race consciousness. We talk about race consciousness in our movement all the time. That place where, well, if everybody sees it this way, it must be this way. Really? If everybody sees it a particular way, it must be that way? Really? There's so much more when we're willing to take the time to look. But it takes taking the time. It takes being willing to question. Going, well, maybe what I think about this and what I think is real about this isn't. And then you can say to yourself, well, that's crazy. Of course this is real. Look at the facts. But the facts are only what you, and even if it's race consciousness agreement, is perceiving. The only people who have ever moved humanity forward are those who questioned what race consciousness said was so. That's the only people who have ever moved forward our society to where we are today. It was known and a fact that it was impossible for a human being to run faster than a 4-minute mile. That a 4-minute mile was impossible because our bodies just couldn't do it. until somebody said, well, actually, I think I can. And then he did. And then there was a 4-minute mile. There are millions of examples of people who questioned race consciousness, questioned what was real, and said there's something else here going on that no one else is seeing right now. When Einstein came up with E = mc squared, for 15 years, the Physicists Society said he was crazy, that it wasn't so. And he just knew that it was. The only people that move forward society are those who are willing to question what everybody else thinks is so. I encourage you to be that. Be that person who is willing to question what it is that's so. Whether it be in your life, whether it be in the world, no matter how much agreement is going on around it, there is more. There is always more. The universe is expanding, constantly expanding, creating new space, creating new possibilities all the time. This is what's going on, an expansion, a constant expansion which creates possibilities that challenge the current thinking, the current thoughts about what is real. This is what's happening so that we can all rise if we're willing to question what we think is real, what we think are facts, to see something beyond that which is greater. See something that which is greater than ever has been seen before in the history of mankind. Because things that have never been seen before in the history of mankind are happening all the time. All the time. And so this is my process. This is my process of constantly looking at what is more to be seen here. What is more, because there must be more. There must be something greater, something larger, something even more magnificent than has ever been done before. And it is only those who are willing to ask the question who will ever get to see it. So ask the question, what is more to be seen? Because it is here for you to see. And if you can go there, and if you ask the question, whether it be in the littlest of things like, oh my God, my life is so hard right now, and things are not going well right now, what is more to be seen? Oh my God, things are going fantastic right now. What is more to be seen? Oh my God, I have this illness, and the doctors are telling me I could die. What is more to be seen? Oh my God, I just lost my job. What is more to be seen? Oh my God, the politics in the world and what's going on in the world, it looks so terrible right now. What is more to be seen? Oh my God, countries are at war with each other. What's going on? What is more to be seen? There's always more. There's always something greater. And this is ours. This is our opportunity, because we're only here for a blip. This is our opportunity to see what has yet to be seen. Take the opportunity, be courageous, and rise. Thank you. All right, this is the part of the show where we pray on somebody. This is a part of the show where we where somebody with courage comes up here and stands and says, please know this for me, for the entire congregation to know that for you, because when you do that, the entire congregation gets to rise and be there for you. So your courage in standing here allows everybody to rise with you. So who's going to step up today? Who's going to step up to this mic and say, I want this healing. I want this congregation to know this for me. Come on. Somebody's got to have courage. Somebody's got to be willing to see more than they've seen. Somebody. I'm just going to stand here until somebody does. So if you guys ever want to get home today, somebody ought to walk up here. Come on. Come on. What do you want them to know?
And I'd love it if Michael would be willing to join me, because Michael and I are taking our exams this week to become licensed practitioners. All right.
That would be a good one.
And in spirit is Matt. So I would love it if you could all know for us
That we already know.
that we already know.
Already passed, already licensed.
Success.
All right, we need 8 to 10 folks to lay hands on them. Come on, come on, you're up. Come on. If you're moved to get up, come on. Come on, come on. And everybody else, take a deep breath, close your eyes and relax. And as always, we start within our own hearts. Feeling that love, healing, knowing, success energy. Allowing that energy to expand so that you feel the room, the energy in the room, the love, the light, the knowing. And in feeling that energy, now send it through Michael, Ash, and Matt, knowing that they have already passed their exams, are licensed practitioners, and serving this community in that capacity, and that they are magnificent at it, that they are magnificent practitioners who serve in the deepest and most wonderful way. Know this for them, right here and right now. And I am so grateful for the power and presence of our community, how we come together, stand with each other, and hold this sacred space for each other in this knowing. And I release this knowing it to be so, and so it is. So it is. All right. All right. Part of our program where I ask you to take out what you're going to give. Hold it in your hand. Unfold it. Whether it's $1, $10, $100, $1,000, diamonds, deeds of property. Whatever it is, unfold it and hold it in your hand. Gold. Gold mines. Hold it in your hand. Yes, sir. Say that again. Keep that separate. Keep that. The pizza money, keep separate. What you put in there? There you go. Thank you. Hold it in your hand and let's say our affirmation together. God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What we give, we receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am, and so it is.